Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21. Verses number 25 through 28. You said, if you get it, say amen. Amen. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth the stress of nations with perplexity. The sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your head, for your redemption draweth nigh.
Rich word.
Directions for times like these. Tuesday, December 3rd, 2013, I was privileged to be in attendance of a particular ecumenical forum here in the city of Memphis to hear views and opinions surrounding some of the very serious issues of our time. In the usual practice, the panelists consisted of only persons pastoring mega ministries and or holding high office in whatever branch of religious faith they represented. The young moderator carried out his assignment by presenting prepared questions to the panelists in general on one hand, and on the other to specific panelists. There were times when he would allow questions and answers from the audience. One question was asked that I thought was beyond the purview of any man to answer, considering the way it was phrased. Phraseology does mean something. However, without giving specific details, I came away from that forum having a greater understanding of the times in which we live. It is because of that meeting, the ensuing concerns that I had as to some of the questions asked and the answers given, I came home and was immediately inspired of the Lord to write this message. Now, I am sure that in every dispensation of history where mankind is concerned, men have always needed directions from the Lord. The proverbial writer agrees with me, so much so that he strongly admonishes us in the following language. In Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. However, repeatedly men have not generally adhered to that sound advice, or really a command, although they should have. Now, when Jesus uttered these words of our text, he turned history upside down. These very words challenges men's sense of invincibility and permanency. His whole concept of business continuing as usual, uninterrupted forever. Once Jesus made this statement, everything that makes up the whole stock in trade of a whole human history of world commentators on the human scene is then rendered null and void forever. All of our habitual predictions, judgments, conjecture, speculation, and valuation are immediately challenged, overruled, and declared out of date by this piercing, dramatic insight of the Son of the living God. When these things began to come to pass. What things is Jesus referring to? I know that when Luke wrote this document, he did not break it down into chapters and verses as it now is, or is now. He wrote one continual scroll to be read by the most excellent Theophilus. However, when we look at how this chapter begins as a chapter, it will immediately become apparent as to how people will so quickly seek to ignore valuable lessons the Lord is teaching. When we read verse 1, for instance, and compare it to Mark 12:41, we will observe that Jesus had seated himself strategically in a place that allowed him to face the offering receptacle with a clear view of not only who gave, but also the amount they gave. From his vantage point, he noted that many of the affluent, that is, the middle and upper class citizens, participated in the giving. Although they gave much, it obviously was not to the extent to which they should have and could have. He says they gave out of their abundance, their surplus, out of what they could easily spare and not be adversely affected. However, there was a widow woman in the line that went beyond all expectation, because she not only gave, but she gave out of her lack. This woman set a standard in giving because she gave her last. Money she needed to live on, and amazingly, she did so voluntarily. There was no expediter appealing to her with any promise of a blessing from the Lord. She simply gave her all. But apparently, when Jesus lifted up the liberality of this poor widow woman above the givings of the rich, some amongst his followers took an offense, and therefore subtly sought to remind him of what real wealth can produce. They began to give him a tour of the temple, pointing to the elaborate structure, furnishing, and decor, perhaps hoping to bring him to his sense of realization and appreciation for what the temple would lack had it not been for those who gave out of their abundance. Then Jesus, in his own inimitable way, in his own respectful manners, flipped the script on their materialistic minds and revealed to them something they obviously have not taken into account. And sweethearts and sirs, we would do well not to be so closed-minded toward life and bring in the things we think to be important, because the Lord can always show us a side of things we have not considered. Jesus let them know that what they were now seeing and were so impressed with, or so enamored by, would soon be destroyed. In like manner, we need to remember that all of the things that we are so captivated by, so impressed by, will soon be destroyed. The disciples then wanted to know when and what would be the signs of the time. Jesus reveals to them no description of calm weather and peaceful prospect, no time of great revival and spiritual renewal. He did not feel the need to deceive them with smooth things, and feel comfortable and all that is well, all that is and will continue to be well. When we glance back across this chapter in such of these things, we come face to face with the most devastating listing of crises and convulsions of formidable, ruthless forces, playing destruction and confusion with good men's dreams. Hallelujah. These very words of Jesus are indeed full of crash and thunder, of storm. He says, nations rising against nations, and kingdom against kingdom, earthquakes, famine, pestilences, that is, various and most likely incurable diseases, fearful sights and signs from heaven, persecutions such as inquisition, racial hatred, martyrdom, the whole world gone mad, and men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. When you see these things. Now there was a time in the not too distant past, and I'm a little older than the brother yesterday, just a little bit, relatively speaking, when we could sleep with our windows raised and only the screen door locked. Our residential areas look like residential. They may have been shotgun houses with chintz windows. You don't know what a chintz window is? Amen. You found out in the winter. But but now they look like prison compounds. Bars on the window, bars on the door, and even the air conditioning units. In addition, we have monitored burglar alarm, watchdog, and for those who can afford it, gated communities where you have to sign in at the security guard booth before entering the property. Our houses look more like prisons than the actual prison themselves. Preachers have figuratively laid down the Bible along with John 3:16 and literally picked up block 19 and are boasting of their willingness to use it with impunity. They seem to find more comfort and security in a handheld weapon engineered by Gaston Bloch from Austria than in a heart-changing word inspired by the Holy Ghost from heaven. Yet the Bible is right. The Bible is right. Except the Lord keep the city. The watchman waketh but in vain. I have learned through the years, I have learned through experience that the psalmist is right. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forward and even forevermore. Except the Lord. When these things come to pass, says Jesus. What things? These intolerably grim and looting things. These things of which the naive conscience, even amongst the saints, will say that they just do not bear thinking about. Such an attitude from the saints, such an attitude from the household of faith will leave others with the impression that all you can do is helplessly watch the human situation as it rapidly deteriorates. These things that we are daily facing crazy altercations and growing turbulence and the mountain tides of violence running seemingly unchecked through our streets like water down a rain-drenched spout. The thing that ushers in a time when men's minds are confused, their nerves are reeling, and their spirits near despair. A time when men who once walked by faith are faced with such challenging difficulties that they would choose to give up the faith and end all their lives. There is an updated estimate from Alzheimer's Disease International, which predicts 135 million people worldwide will be living with dementia by 2050. All right. And that is just 36 years from now. These things come to pass that give every right to us in some way to have despair. Yet Jesus says, don't despair. Look up. Lift up your head. I hope y'all are praying for me. I'm trying to move on. There's a service as ancient as the Bible is, as ancient as the scripture is, and even considering its proper theological application, I find it extremely difficult not to feel in my heart that this chapter might have sprung straight out the background of our present day. Fact of the matter, I would strongly contend that we would be far wrong if we limit the text to Jesus' forecast of the fearful fate that Rome was keeping in store for Jerusalem, the city of God. Without a doubt, it was that. But certainly it was also far more. When these things began to come to pass, who can earnestly think soberly of the picture here and not feel that it is extremely relevant now? I want you to hear me. This is a day wherein the fabric and fiber of the traditional family and home is going so radically wrong that the foundation on which it was built is shaking. It is rocking and quivering and on the verge of collapsing before the assault of the homosexual and lesbian community. That is no longer a closet conversation, but a social and mainstream media frenzy. Even animated characters, cartoons, are used to promote this as a normal lifestyle that ought to be embraced and not rejected. They have set in place an all-out campaign to make this an acknowledged and an acceptable normalcy of life. However, this is an abomination and a grief unto God. And anybody who loves God ought to hate what God hates. And anybody who embraces God ought to reject what God rejects. To make matters worse, whenever this is brought to the forefront of the leadership in the household of faith, there's always that voice of naivety and sympathy among us who defends this perversion by quickly saying it's not the only sin. Then that voice continues by saying we need to be compassionate and try to treat those who are practitioners through some special ministry designed to psychoanalyze the root cause of their problem as if it is a disease and not the sexual perversion and abomination the Bible says it is. They say we must be careful and remain politically correct, lest we run the risk of being sued, losing our tax status, or offending some of our congregation who happens to be strong financial supporters in the church, as well as great sympathizers of this lifestyle. However, for those who love to proclaim sin is sin, allow me to point out the most important truth, which is adultery is a sin, but there is no movement to legalize adultery. Murder is a sin, but there is no legislature being offered to legalize it. Likewise, pedophilia is a sin, but the pedophiliac is not, as of yet, protesting the legal system because they perceive it to be a violation of their civil and basic human right to express their sexual proclivities with whomever they choose. Men and women are engaged in the practice of bestiality, but as of yet, those who do so are not being backed by millionaires to make it an acceptable alternative lifestyle. Illicit drugs, Ponzi scheme, spousal abuse, and violence in general are seen by some as simple basic human rights to survive, but not enough to launch a massive worldwide campaign in support of legalizing it. However, while some among us are consistently preoccupied with minimizing homosexuality by the way of how we respond to practitioners of this immoral deed, this movement for same-sex marriage by the gay and lesbian community is being strongly financed by billionaires. Lawyers as a civil right and not a moral evil argue it in the courts of our land. It is lobbied for lawmakers to pass legislation legalizing it in every state of the union. As of December 2013, 15 of the 50 states, 8 of 33 counties in New Mexico, and 8 Native American tribal jurisdictions, covering 34% of the U.S. population, issued marriage license for same-sex couples. These statistics will not decrease like jump, but they will increase, and increase rapidly. Why? Because the redeemed are silent. Somewhere I read, let the redeemed will belong. You don't have to be in your house, but if you've been redeemed in your heart. I'm rushing on here. This ought to be an alarming revelation for the saints and every morally conscious citizen to know how close we are to having 50% of our population sanctioning same-sex marriage. Not to mention the fact that these couples are also petitioning adoption agencies and being granted adoption privileges. That within itself is a potential keg of dynamite. It means that that those children will be first-hand exposed to this perverted lifestyle, resulting in either confusion, sympathy, or becoming practitioners, or all. In either case, it will be a greater threat to future generations. Our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren seeking to maintain the traditional marriage and family values are going to find themselves facing an environment far worse than Sodom. Why? Because these very children adopted and raised in that environment will become lawyers, judges, legislators, millionaires, billionaires, placing them in positions of power to change the face of the world as we know it. In addition, I'm going to move on from this. In addition, if God gave over people once for this abomination, he will do it again. And of all that gives over, I don't want God to give me over. I don't want to live in a world where God has abandoned us. When these things begin to come to pass, distress and perplexity, which speaks of great suffering, coupled with being buffeted and mentally disturbed, twisted and so entangled as to make separation difficult, and apart from God intervening impossible. In verse 34, we are warned not to allow ourselves to become so overwhelmed with the excessive ways of the world that we lose focus on the things of God that really matter. Therefore, we must acknowledge and not deny that truth, because it is easy for us to get weighted down with the cares of this world and the temptation of the world and of the flesh. We find ourselves unwatchful. We will find ourselves forsaking the assembling of ourselves together out of disgust and out of a lack of spirituality and a lack of ongoing evidence that God is still in our midst. We will find ourselves saying, I can be just the same at home, and I can get as much preaching by television as I can in the church. And besides, they ain't preaching nothing they ain't heard before. This is the day in which we live. You can get more folk at a sporting event, including preachers. They will close down service for Super Bowl. When these things begin to come to pass, I'm going to move on. When we see tragedies, such as preachers, pastors taking their own lives instead of becoming fearful as the world is, we should focus on the Word of God and tell others that Jesus still lives, that the Word of God is still vibrant, that the Word of God still has power, that the Word of God can still redeem. We should not become discouraged and throw in the towel. If you're thrown in the towel, go back and get it. Hallelujah. Because as I get ready to go to my seat, I want you to know it does not matter how bad things get. Here on this earth, in our political system, every quadrillion, we got to get a new leader in the political process. A president can only serve for 8 years, back to back, provided he is elected back to back. Hallelujah. But the last I heard, the God that I serve is enthroned, and he will never Jesus and ask for your help. He is not needing your help, but we need his help. The Lord, if the Lord don't help us when these things began to come to pass, we will not make it. But I don't know about you. Too many folk are looking to the hill, the capital hill. But I'm not looking to the hill because the hill can't help me. But if I look unto Jesus, the author, the finisher of my faith, who for the joy set before him, he endured the cross, despised the shame, and is now so victorious, so triumphant. He sat down on the right hand of the Father, because his work is finished. Somebody said, who is the King of Glory? As it came back, Lord, strong in mighty, Lord, mighty in battle.